Lake Oroville at 91% capacity on Thursday. The water levels are rising, and the DWR is starting to make more water releases.
Scientists are in shock because Lake Oroville just did something that should not be possible. Only minutes ago, the water level suddenly jumped 23 feet in just a few hours. And this happened without any rain or storms. The rise happened late at night, and right now, no one knows where this water is coming from. The big question is whether the rivers below the dam can handle this sudden rush. This is not a small increase. It is a massive amount of water pushing upward from below the lake. If the dam cannot handle this strange pressure, millions of people living downstream could be in danger. Here is the detail almost everyone misses. This water did not come from rain. A hidden surge that nobody expected. Sensors at Lake Oroville sent out an alert that should not even exist under normal conditions. During the night, the surface of the reservoir rose 23 feet, even though not a single drop of rain fell in the area. There were no storms over the Sierra Nevada mountains. No dams upstream released water. There were no huge landslides crashing into the lake to push the water up. Yet the measuring tools kept showing the water climbing, hour after hour, until morning revealed a lake that looked completely different. This sudden movement pushed 7 billion gallons of water upward in total darkness. Engineers are now asking a frightening question. Is something breaking underneath one of California's most important dams? If the cause is deep underground, that answer may be more terrifying than reassuring. The first strange reading came in at 2:17 a.m. A sensor on the east side of the dam showed the water level at 847.3 feet. By 6 a.m., it had jumped to 870.1 feet. No worker at the dam had ever seen such a huge rise in such a short time. Backup systems confirmed the numbers, and even manual measurements matched the digital readings within 2 inches. This was only the first sign of a much larger problem. Workers checked the data using 3 separate systems, and all of them showed the same impossible curve. The California Data Exchange Center also showed the water rising nonstop. When daylight arrived, teams went out to see it with their own eyes. The lake really was rising. It was not a computer error. Standard safety rules required them to find the cause quickly. One by one, they ruled things out. Weather radar showed clear skies across the entire Feather River area. No rain had fallen for 3 days. Upstream reservoirs reported steady levels, with no emergency releases. Earthquake sensors showed no landslides falling into the lake. Satellite images showed no debris floating on the surface. Even the river level stayed flat, proving the water was not coming from above. Every normal cause was gone, yet the water kept rising. By 8:30 a.m., crews reached the eastern shoreline and saw the truth. The shoreline had moved more than 60 feet inland in just a few hours. The intake tower, usually surrounded by dry rock, now had waves hitting its lower platform. Buoys placed months earlier were floating far from where maps said they should be. Pieces of driftwood rested on benches that were supposed to sit 10 feet above the water. A supervisor wrote down a single sentence that triggered a full emergency response. The shoreline has moved. This is not a computer error. Lake Oroville is not an ordinary lake. It is a key part of the State Water Project, the largest public water system in the world. The reservoir can hold 3.5 million acre-feet of water and sends water through pipes from Northern California all the way to the border of Mexico. More than 27 million people depend on this system. What happens at this lake affects the entire state. Farmers across the Central Valley rely on its level to water their crops. Power plants inside the dam generate electricity for around 800,000 people. Every single foot the water rises or falls represents millions of gallons and billions of dollars. When this lake behaves strangely, all of California holds its breath. Simply put, this lake is the heartbeat of the state. But here is where things become even more troubling. The ghost of 2017. The memories from 2017 never truly faded. In February of that year, heavy rain pushed the lake dangerously close to its limit. Workers opened the main spillway to release pressure, But within hours, a massive hole tore through the concrete. Water and mud blasted down the hillside. Engineers switched to the emergency spillway, a dirt slope that had never been used before. It began eroding almost immediately, cutting back toward the dam itself. Officials ordered 188,000 people to evacuate immediately. It was the largest dam-related evacuation in U.S. history. Families fled with only what they could carry. The danger ended only after massive water releases and emergency repairs, but the fear never left. For towns along the Feather River, any unusual news from the dam causes instant panic. Seeing the water rise and hearing sirens brings back memories of fleeing in the night. These are not rumors. People lived through this. So when the water rose again without explanation, old fears returned instantly. Before noon, the Department of Water Resources activated its emergency plan. Dam safety teams gathered. Inspectors were sent to examine every section of the dam. Phones rang nonstop as officials alerted government agencies and nearby towns. Emergency checklists that had gathered dust for years suddenly became critical. Every leak, every drain, every crack needed eyes on it. When investigators reached the shoreline, nothing matched the maps. Mud flats meant to be dry were underwater. Roads used during dry seasons vanished into the lake. Then came another shock. The ground was so soft that crews had to abandon some inspection paths. Dirt strong enough to support heavy trucks had turned into mud overnight. Safety rules required detailed photos and sealed water samples. The samples were sent to a major lab, barcoded, and tested immediately. Scientists measured conductivity, cloudiness, and chemical makeup. When the results came back, no one was prepared for what they showed. Scientists are in a state of fear because Lake Oroville just did something that should not be possible. About 1 minute ago, the lake level jumped 23 feet in just a few hours, without any rain, storms, or weather systems helping it. This massive rise happened in the middle of the night, and no one can explain where the water came from. Now the big question is this: can the rivers downstream handle this sudden surge? This is not a small increase. It is an enormous wall of water pushing upward from below. If the dam cannot withstand this strange pressure, millions of people living downstream could be in danger. And here is the detail most people miss. The water did not come from rain. This was a hidden surge that nobody saw coming. Sensors at Lake Oroville sent out an alert that, by all logic, should not exist. Overnight, the reservoir rose 23 feet, even though not a single drop of rain fell in the area. No storms crossed the Sierra Nevada. No upstream dams opened their gates. No major landslides crashed into the lake to force the water higher. Yet the gauges kept climbing, hour after hour, until daylight revealed a lake that looked completely different. This sudden movement forced 7 billion gallons of water upward in the darkness. Engineers are now asking a terrifying question. Is something breaking beneath California's most important dam? If the answer lies deep underground, that may be worse than any surface explanation. The first strange reading appeared in the control room at 2:17 a.m. A monitoring station on the east side of the dam recorded the water level at 847.3 feet. By 6 a.m., it had reached 870.1 feet. No worker at the dam had ever seen such a massive rise in such a short time. Backup systems confirmed the flow, and even manual tools matched the digital data within 2 inches. This wasn't a glitch. It was real, and it was only the first warning. Workers checked the data using 3 different systems. All of them showed the same impossible curve. The California Data Exchange Center confirmed the water was rising steadily, without slowing down. When the sun came up, teams went outside to see it themselves. The lake was rising right in front of them. This was not a computer mistake. Following standard procedures, they rushed to find cause. One by one, they ruled things out. Weather radar showed clear skies across the entire Feather River region. No rain had fallen for 3 days. Upstream reservoirs reported stable levels and no emergency releases. Earthquake monitors showed no landslides entering the lake. Satellite images revealed no debris pushing the water higher. Even river levels stayed flat, proving the surge was not coming from a surface. Every normal explanation was gone, yet the water kept rising. By 8:30 a.m., crews reached the eastern shoreline and saw the truth for themselves. The waterline had moved more than 60 feet inland in just a few hours. The intake tower, normally surrounded by dry rock, now had waves crashing against its lower platform. Buoys anchored months earlier were floating far from their mapped locations. Pieces of driftwood rested on benches that should have been 10 feet above the water. A supervisor wrote a short note that triggered a full emergency response. The shoreline has shifted. This is not a data error. Lake Oroville is not just another lake. It is the core of California's State Water Project, the largest public water system in the world. The reservoir can hold 3.5 million acre-feet of water and supplies channels that stretch from the Sacramento Valley to the Mexican border. More than 27 million people rely on the water controlled by this dam. Farms, cities, and industries across California depend on its level. Every single foot of water movement equals millions of gallons and billions of dollars. When Lake Oroville behaves strangely, the entire state goes silent with fear. Simply put, this lake is California's heartbeat. But here's where memories return. The ghost of 2017. The trauma from 2017 never truly faded. That February, extreme rainfall pushed the lake near its limit. Operators activated the main spillway, but within hours, a massive hole tore through the concrete. Water and mud blasted down the hillside. Engineers were forced to use the emergency spillway, a dirt slope that had never been tested. That slope began to erode within minutes. Water chewed backward toward the dam itself. Officials ordered 188,000 people to evacuate immediately. It became the largest dam-related evacuation in U.S. history. Families fled with whatever they could carry. Though disaster was narrowly avoided, the fear never left. So when gauges began climbing again, this time with no explanation, panic returned instantly. Sirens and rising water reopened old wounds. These weren't stories. These were lived nightmares, and fear spread faster than any official statement. The unexplained surge forced immediate action. The Department of Water Resources activated emergency protocols before noon. Dam safety teams gathered at headquarters. Inspectors were sent to examine every section of the structure. Phones rang non-stop as officials alerted state leaders and downstream communities. Old emergency manuals suddenly became critical. Every drain, seep, and crack now demanded attention. When investigators reached the shoreline, the terrain didn't match the maps. Mud flats, once dry, were underwater. Access roads simply ended at the new waterline. Then came the next shock. The ground itself had softened overnight. Paths strong enough for trucks had turned into mud. Crews had to halt movement in certain areas. Following safety rules, they photographed every abnormal sign and carefully collected water samples. Those samples were sealed, labeled, and rushed to a major laboratory. Tests began immediately: conductivity, clarity, chemical makeup. And when the results arrived, nothing made sense.